Well, well, well. This is oh things have gotten interesting. Trump signs proclamation imposing annual $100,000 fee on H-1B visas. Move deals potentially major blow to US tech industry, which relies heavily on workers from India and China. Now, I'll save it for the end. I want to see if this article mentions it. It might not, but let's see. Donald Trump signed a proclamation on Friday that would impose an annual $100,000 fee on H-1B visa applications, dealing a potentially major blow to the US tech industry, which relies heavily on workers from India and China. The US Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, said at a Friday press briefing that all the big companies had been briefed on the new fee. $100,000 a year for H-1B visas, and all of the big companies are on board. We've spoken to them, Lutnick said at an Oval Office event with the US president. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land. Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs, he said. Trump's threat to crack down on H-1B visas has become a major flashpoint with the tech industry, which contributed millions of dollars to his presidential campaign. The tech industry relies more than any other sector of the US economy on H-1B visa holders. Roughly two-thirds of jobs secured through the H-1B program are computer-related, government figures show, but the employers also use the visa to bring in engineers, educators, and healthcare workers, because apparently there's none in America. There's none of those anywhere in America. They just don't exist there, apparently. In the first half of 2025, Amazon had more than 10,000 H-1B visas approved, while Microsoft and Meta platforms had more than 5,000 approvals each. The H-1B program offers 65,000 visas annually to employers, bringing in temporary foreign workers in specialised fields, with another 20,000 visas for workers with advanced degrees. Critics of the program, including many US technology workers, argue that it allows firms to suppress wages and sideline Americans who could do the jobs, and that is 100% correct. Basically, if you bring in cheap wages from over the seas, because apparently the native white man has got too used and too decadent where he expects a living wage, scumbags, right? So they basically just import them from overseas, which is why everyone's like, why don't we increase minimum wage? Because, my brother in Christ, all of the people that you keep bringing over here are very, very happy to work for minimum wage. So why the hell should there be a need to increase it? These people can survive just fine because they're used to surviving on much, much less, even with the cost of living that we've got over here in the West right now. But still, where was I? Supporters, including Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who, yeah, I remember that, says it brings in highly skilled workers essential to filling talent gaps and keeping firms competitive. I had no idea that America produced no IT workers. There's just whole talent, there's whole programming languages that aren't being taught in America that nobody knows. It's only Indians. That is incredible, and it's obviously got absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you can pay them buttons. Musk himself, a naturalised US citizen born in South Africa, once held an H-1B visa. Adding new fees creates disincentives to attract the world's smartest talent to the US, also known as brain drain. Didi Das, partner at venture capital firm Menlo Ventures, wrote on X, if the US ceases to attract the best talent, it drastically reduces its ability to innovate and grow the economy. Apparently the US has no talent whatsoever. There are no smart people in the United States, so we have to bring them in from abroad. It's just really, really weird that despite all of those big prestigious universities, America just isn't producing any talented people, and we have to bring them in from abroad. Right, same goes for Britain, same goes for any other country in the West. I wonder what that could be, or maybe it's because that's not the fucking reason. Maybe it's not that, maybe it's just because you want to pay a bunch of third worlders half the fucking wage. Maybe it's that, maybe it's protecting your bottom line. It's for profit. It's for profit, you fucking idiot. The new fee could significantly push up costs for companies, particularly smaller tech firms and startups. How? Or they could just hire someone that already lives in America. See, I do this really crazy thing with my staff where I just hire people that are all from Scotland. Well, one's from Ireland and one's from England, right? But they're still from this little cluster of islands. And I do this really, really crazy thing where I pay them a living wage. I just pay them a living wage, and then I've had like no problems whatsoever. Company's still profitable. I just pay them a living wage. I've only ever lost like 2 staff. One due to unfortunate events. Yeah. None of the boys talk to him anymore. And another one because fucking Netflix stole him off me. Netflix stole him and he went, look, I've been offered a position at Net, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, well, how much are they paying you? And then he told me. And I went, well, best of luck. Like, I can't fucking match that. But anyway, either the person is very valuable to the company and America, or they're going to depart and the company is going to hire an American, Lutnick said at the briefing. And that's the point of immigration. Hire Americans and make sure the people coming in are the top people. Stop the nonsense. Immigration experts are questioning whether the executive branch has the authority to impose the exorbitant annual fee. Aaron Reichlin-Melnick, senior fellow at the American Immigration Council, said on Blue Sky, the president has literally zero legal authority to impose a $100,000 fee on visas. None, zip, zilch. The only authority Congress has ever given the executive branch here is to charge fees to recover the cost of processing the application. Under the current system, H-1B applicants pay a small fee to enter a lottery, and, if selected, subsequent fees that can amount to several $1,000s, depending on the case. That's really interesting, because if it's a lottery, then how are you bringing in the best or brightest if just their number gets called? How's that bringing in the best or brightest if just basically names are drawn out of a fucking hat? That's not bringing in the best and brightest. To do that, you need to actually have a look at them and see who is the best and brightest and go, all right, you can come in. Not drawing names out of a hat. Nearly all visa fees have to be paid by employers. H-1B visas are approved for a period of 3 to 6 years. The move is the latest effort by the Trump administration to curb or raise more money from legal immigration. Last month, the US launched a pilot program allowing consular officers to demand bonds of up to $15,000 for tourist and business visas from countries with high overstay rates or limited vetting data. That followed Trump's June travel ban restricting entry from 19 nations. Trump's first-term administration issued several regulations that aim to limit access to H-1B visas and give them to higher-paying employers, but the regulations were blocked in federal court. And here we are at the end of the article. Now we get to talk about the funny stuff. So basically, the H-1B subreddit completely lit up with a bunch of Indians saying, I would rather die than go back to America. Right? Because they now need to pay $100,000 a year to actually stay in the country, or their employer has to. And well, since employers actually hired these people abroad in the first place to save money and protect their bottom line, I don't think they're going to do that. But unless the guy's really, really good. One SAR to rule them all, right? So basically, they were all seething about it online, saying, like, I don't want to go back to India. India's a shithole. India's this and that. And it was just loads of Indians just shit-talking their home country. And I'm inclined to agree. I've seen pictures. India doesn't look fun. But another thing that people were doing, people on 4chan, is there is a deadline with which you have to be back in America in order to not pay the $100,000 fee. So what happened is a lot of Indian people over in India were like, oh shit, I have to be back in America right fucking now. And so they started this great big mad scramble to get back over to America. So what 4chan started doing was, whenever you try and book a flight online, whenever you open out the checkout process and you've reserved your seat on the plane, is it reserves your seat for 15 minutes. It reserves your seat for 15 minutes to allow you to fill out the form, make your payment, blah, blah, blah. So what they were doing was they were reserving a seat for 15 minutes and then not buying it. And then as soon as that was over, they were going back in and reserving another seat for 15 minutes. Over and over and over again, and they kept doing it. And then people started doing it a lot. And you had thousands of people going on basically every single fucking airline's website, reserving these tickets over and over again to block the Indians from booking their seats to get back to the country. And then people even wrote scripts to do it automatically. People had like 30 tabs open and were reserving all the seats for that 15-minute window. And as soon as the 15 minutes were up, they were going up and going in and just doing it all over again, blocking them off from getting back to America in time for the deadline. Which is, like, oh, I fucking love the internet.